The legendary Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. On June 11, 2026, it will become the first stadium to host 3 FIFA World Cup opening matches. This one, unlike any other, because this one kicks off the biggest World Cup in history. 104 games, spanning across Mexico, the USA, and for the first time ever, right here at home. Get ready, Canada. The biggest event in sport is coming.
Canada, do you feel that? It's 1 year away.
A chance to create memories for a nation.
1 year until the biggest sporting event, the greatest spectacle that the globe has ever seen. Canada is the stage for the World Cup. This is what we've all been building towards. I've stood on the pitch at the World Cup in Qatar, maple leaf on my chest, overflowing with pride.
Canada is back on the biggest stage.
This is different. This will change soccer in this country forever. We're ready for the world.
What a goal! This nation is going to dance all night!
The planet's best players will step on our pitches. We'll have a front row seat to history and witness a new wave of the game's stars.
Wow, what a goal! A goal for the ages! Lamine Yamal!
In 1 year, the colors of the world will flood our cities. Joy and passion will echo in our streets.
Listen to the roar!
We are made to host this. This country is built on diversity and pride. And with the spotlight on us, we're gonna show the entire planet what it means to be Canadian.
Towards Alphonso Davies! The goal the country has been dreaming about for decades!
This team has proved over and over that we can challenge giants, that we are fearless. Canada, believe me, it's our time.
One of the biggest moments in the history of this team. Soak it in. Jonathan David gives Canada the lead.
Canada, this is a once-in-a-lifetime moment for all of us.
A spectacular effort for Canada.
In 1 year, we make history.
BMO Field in Toronto, the site of some of the most significant and historic wins on Canada's remarkable run to the 2022 World Cup. But this stadium is no longer just a stepping stone, because 1 year from now, it will be home to the 2026 World Cup, hosting Canada's first game. Yes, the biggest event on the planet is coming to Toronto and Vancouver. James Duthie with you as we begin a 1-year countdown to what will be one or likely several of the most unforgettable moments in Canadian sports history. Over the next hour, we'll get you ready for a once-in-a-lifetime, the 2026 World Cup, co-hosted by Canada.
Get ready for the greatest FIFA World Cup ever. 2026 is set to be the most exciting and inclusive FIFA World Cup of all time. 3 host countries, 16 host cities, 48 teams. Never before have so many nations competed for the ultimate prize in world football. For the initial group stage, teams will compete in 12 groups of 4 teams, with the top 2 in each group, plus the 8 best third-place teams progressing. For the first time, the round of 32 will be introduced. which is sure to dial up the knockout stage drama in 2026. 3 group stage and 5 knockout matches. 8 games will stand between one nation and football history. An unprecedented 104 matches across 3 countries sound complex, but FIFA has developed a schedule which places players and fans first. By geographically grouping the host cities, most teams and their supporters will make shorter journeys and should not have to travel coast to coast. A principle of 3 days between matches allows players to recover, whilst fans can attend games in multiple cities, leaving the FIFA World Cup fan experience to the full. History will be made on the 11th of June when the iconic Estadio Azteca in Mexico City kicks off the tournament, becoming the first stadium to host 3 FIFA World Cup opening matches. A day later, the eyes of the world shift north, as on the 12th of June, Canada hosts its first ever men's FIFA World Cup match in Toronto, and the USA gets the ball rolling in LA, with the first FIFA World Cup match on home soil since 1994. The 3 hosts will play all their group matches on home turf. Get ready for FIFA World Cup like no other. We'll start with 48 teams, but by Tuesday, 14th of July, only 4 will remain. Dallas will be the backdrop to the first semifinal before Atlanta provides the stage for the second. On Sunday, 19th of July, 2026, the focus will be on New York, New Jersey, where one nation will turn their dream into reality as winners of FIFA World Cup 2026, the biggest sporting event in history. The countdown is on. We are 26.
So Canada will open its World Cup journey right here at Toronto Stadium, the pseudonym for BMO Field during the World Cup. Canada will play its other 2 group stage matches in Vancouver. As you heard there, each host nation will play all of its group stage matches on home soil. But beyond that, it will depend where they finish in their respective groups. If Canada finishes first, the team will remain in Vancouver for the round of 32 and the round of 16 should they advance that far. If Canada fails to win its group but still advances, the team will hit the road for games in either the US or Mexico. With one of the faces and voices of the World Cup on TSN, Stephen Caldwell, you played football all around the world for Scotland. You played some massive games here on this turf as the captain of TFC. What is it going to be like to have some of the best players in the world playing in the World Cup right here?
It's going to be like no sporting event that's ever been in this city, James, or in Vancouver, across this country. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal because the best players in the world are coming right into people's home place. They're going to be able to see this kind of football live. And, you know, just even to imagine the number of people that are going to be here. There's going to be 45,000 people inside this stadium. There's going to be 60,000 at a fan fest just up the road, and there's going to be hundreds of thousands descending upon the downtown area of Toronto. So the vibe, the atmosphere, the whole energy around Toronto and Vancouver is going to be like nothing the cities have ever seen. No sporting event can come close to it, and there's going to be 6 and 7 games in both the places. So the impact that I think that's going to have on the people of Canada is so significant that it's hard to even wrap our heads around it.
Now, what do you think when it's over that a World Cup here will do to soccer in this country?
I think it's the aspirational aspect of walking up these steps and coming out. Everyone can remember their first game. Everyone can remember that experience of smelling the grass and seeing the atmosphere and seeing these stars, these people that you idolise out there on that field. And so there's going to be young kids, boys and girls that come here and have that. They've had it on the women's side, but now on the men's side there's a men's World Cup coming here. And as you're watching that game, it's okay to dream and believe that you're the next Alphonso Davies or the next Stefan Eustáquio or the next Jonathan David. That is the whole beauty of this thing, that it's going to instill a belief in young Canadians that they too can achieve the unthinkable. They too can play at the highest level against the best players in the world. And then on another note, I just think the whole fact that now in a 48-team World Cup we're going to see so many different cultures, so many different people descend upon the city. What that means, we can highlight our country as being one of the most open and diverse places in the world, and everyone will revel in the atmosphere that it creates. So I, for one, can't wait for it, and I think, like, again, it's just so hard to wrap our heads around it that it's coming, and it's coming quite soon.
You've become this great ambassador for football in this country, but we did have to get another one, and it's a guy who is a Toronto native, Hollywood star, almost as big as Stephen Caldwell. To introduce the world to Toronto, Will Arnett.
I'm so excited for people to come here from around the world to see how kind and polite Canadians are. Would you stop moving? My name is Will Arnett, and this is Toronto. I'm so stoked. I have no fear. I can't wait to get up there.
Okay, you're right below. You want to see all the way to the ground?
I don't really.
No.
I'm just going to kind of keep it up here. Toronto was such a great place to grow up. I was lucky enough to kind of grow up what you would consider to be downtown. I grew up right over there. This is the highest you can get in Canada. Well, yeah, I'll just stick with that. The fantastic CN Tower, that was amazing. Toronto's such a great mix of very sort of urban environment and really in the city, but also felt like a small town. Like, you know people and you run into people all the time on the street. How you doing? I have so many memories of taking the ferry over to the island with my dad. I'd come here with my dad. It would be something to do, like just go over the island and spend the day with the family. And having my own kids come back here and my dad, their grandfather, take them over to the island and looking back and seeing the skyline of Toronto is so embedded in my mind. I mean, look how much is going on. You got the whole city, you've got planes landing, you got sailboats and water taxis and ferries and the CN Tower. Yeah, I literally was just up there at the very top, not the very top, and not the one right below, but the one below that, on the bottom. It was very high. I'm the captain now. No, that was an actual question. Am I the captain now? I'm really excited to have a couple things come together that I really love. Being from Toronto and football. And for Toronto to host is kind of like this crazy dream come true. Having been to the World Cup myself and seeing the throngs of fans from the different countries, and to think of that happening here in Toronto and in Vancouver, there couldn't be two cities more well-suited to host that experience, I don't think. What makes me proud of being from Toronto? It's such a great environment and community to grow up in. So multicultural, so ethnically diverse. It's such a great mix here in Toronto of so many different things. Any sort of success that I've managed to have in my life, I probably owe a lot of that to growing up in Toronto. Now, when I say, oh, I'm not gonna pay you back, the more I start to talk about it, the more things come back of all the great things you can do in this city and how great it is and how beautiful it is and how great we have it. There's just such a great positive vibe in this city. We are Toronto, the world in a city. This is my city. This is my home. This is Toronto.
So these are the 6 games that will take place in Toronto. On June 12th, Canada will open its World Cup campaign right here in what is sure to be one of the most historic sporting events this country has ever seen. That is just one of the 6 World Cup games that will be hosted here. Toronto will host another 4 group stage matches, plus a round of 32 games. Who will play in those games? That will be decided this December when the World Cup draw takes place. With Canada's coach, Jesse Marsh, in what will be Canada's room for the World Cup. 1 year from now, you'll be standing here addressing your team before their World Cup opener in their home country. That's a lot. What will that moment mean to you? Have you thought about what you might say?
I haven't thought too much about what I might say, but for sure, all the motivation to work and get up in the morning and organize and watch matches and talk to players and create a foundation and raise fundraise, and everything has been about creating a movement to make sure that when we get to that moment that stadium is full, that it's packed with passionate fans, that they all know all the players' names, that they understand the exact culture that we're trying to build with the team, and that they show true belief in what the team can achieve. So sitting here, what I'm going to say is probably a little bit private, but you know, certainly for them to be able to capture the energy that we're trying to create in this country will be a big part of the emphasis in the lead up to those matches.
I think any boy or girl who loves soccer has a moment earlier in their life when they fell in love with the World Cup. For me, I was probably 9 or 10 in Gloucester, Ontario, and my coach was my dad, and he took us into our clubhouse and showed us those old documentaries about Pele and Brazil and their World Cup triumphs. What was your moment?
1986 in Mexico, Diego Maradona. I had an Argentinian exchange student that came to Racine, Wisconsin, and for the year in the lead up to the World Cup, he educated me on everything Argentina and everything Diego Maradona. And I became a huge, Maradona became my idol. And watching all of those matches with him and watching the hand of God and watching Maradona raise the trophy, that was the imprint that the sport made on me that has stayed with me forever.
That little boy dreamt of playing in the World Cup for Team USA, and maybe as you got older, coaching USA in the World Cup. Life takes some turns, and you end up here coaching Canada, and it feels like maybe for you the perfect opportunity, for Canada the perfect guy at the perfect time, maybe.
I can speak more about me. You're right, I thought I would be the U.S. national team coach, but my goodness, I couldn't be more thankful that I am the Canadian national team coach.
Why?
Well, I just think that the ideals of the people, of the country, of the team, the idea of selflessness, the idea of togetherness, the idea of giving everything you have to something bigger than yourself, honestly, it seems to resonate here more than it does in my home country. And so, you're right, maybe by saying all those things and feeling all those things, maybe I am the right guy, you know, but I can speak to the fact that I'm just so incredibly thankful to be here. I'm so incredibly thankful to work with these players, to root them on week in and week out with their professional clubs, and then to bring them together to help them represent everything that we want to become and everything that we think Canada is.
But the expectations are coming. In 2022, the triumph was getting there for Canada. Results would have been nice, but that would have been a bonus. But because of the success since, because of your ride to the semis at Copa America, because this is happening in Canada, the expectations will be much higher. What should be Canada's expectations for your team? What are your expectations?
To get out of the group and to win the group, and then to use that momentum to see what's possible. And one of the things that makes it so simple to say that is the tournament structure is such that if we win the group, we stay in Canada for potentially 2 more knockout rounds in Vancouver. If we finish second or third, we go to the US. Like, we want to stay here. You know, we want to use being the home nation, we want to use the momentum of the country to help us really achieve something special. This isn't anymore about the first goal or the first win, right? This is about really having a good team full of good players playing at good clubs where we know we can beat anyone. And we've already shown that in our short time, right? We haven't necessarily knocked off that big opponent yet, but we've been in every game against every opponent. We've played really well at all times. We're at our highest FIFA ranking, and we know there's much more to come.
So that's your stated goal, win the group and see what happens. But could that see what happens, could it be potentially 16 quarters, semis like Copa? Is that possible for this Canadian team?
I think it's totally possible. And I think, especially once we win the group, the momentum and belief of what we're creating, which has been from day one, has been about that. Like, I said to the team from the first day that I met with them, like the urgency that we have to have, that every moment, every second that we're together, we're maximizing potential. But we do it in a way where it's enjoyable, where it's not just about intensity and meetings and tactics, and it's about accessing the true spirit of these men, right? And then using that with their football talent to create something that can benefit them as individuals, benefit the whole group, that can excite the country, so that when we get to that moment, at that time 2 years from then, now 1 year, right? That they are prepared, that the country is prepared, and that there's an incredible movement and incredible momentum that almost makes us invincible, right? And when we achieve that, then we can be thinking, once we win the group, okay, it's one day at a time, one opponent at a time, one game, everything, but why not? Why not keep pushing this thing, and let's see how far we can go.
You stated without a millisecond of hesitation to win the group because you want to stay here. Home field advantage really means something in soccer. It's a real thing. How much can the crowds in Toronto and Vancouver propel you guys?
They have to. Okay, because we've played so many games on foreign soil. Like we need to now, I think, over this next year, play a lot more games here at home. Really give fans the opportunity to see who our players are, what their personalities are, to interact with their heroes, to see what we're trying to do as a team, to get to know exactly the kind of football we're playing, because that education process and that feel, that experience of being in the stadium, of being around the team, that's the thing that really draws people to sport. That's the thing that makes them feel really connected. So that is a big part of the strategy of what we need to accomplish over the next years. Not just the level at which we play, but the connection we have overall with the fans and with the country.
Whatever happens results-wise, wherever you go, a World Cup in a country can be transformational for that country and for soccer in that country. When this is over, a year and change from now, how do you hope that this World Cup changes Canada and soccer in Canada?
Hockey is such an incredible sport in this country, and the infrastructure and the passion for what the game is so massive. But I think that there's a real opportunity to help soccer continue to emerge as sort of that partner along with hockey, or right behind hockey, and then use this Canadian persona to really help inject enthusiasm, expertise. Obviously, we need capital to continue to build even the youth programs and youth experiences so that the sport never looks back, right? That we're only going up, we're only going forward, and we have to use this moment in 2026 to propel the country from a soccer perspective to become a mini power, which I really think is possible.
We can't wait to watch you a year from now. Wish you the best of luck getting there on the journey.
All right, thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jesse. Coming up, our focus shifts to Vancouver, where Karina LeBlanc shows us what her hometown has to offer the world. Plus, Luke Wildman sits down with the leaders of FIFA to discuss what legacy the World Cup will leave on our country.
'26. It's when history will be made. It's when we'll remember the past.
Oh, genius! Oh, how about that?
While keeping an eye on the future. When we'll recall the classic moments. The fashion choices. And all those great goals.
Glorious goal! Mbappe! Lionel Messi! Ronaldo!
It's when 3 nations and 16 cities will unite as a single host.
This will be a month like no other.
A whole continent staging football's most prestigious competition. And when immortality will be born.
Simply the best team won it. 36 centimeters high, 6.175 kilograms, 18-karat gold.
Argentina, campeón del mundo!
2026. The FIFA World Cup is coming, and we can't wait.
So Vancouver gets a total of 7 games, 5 group stage, 1 round of 32, and 1 round of 16. Canada will play in 2 of those group stage games, and should they win their group, would remain in Vancouver for the round of 32 and possibly the round of 16. More now on Vancouver from one of the faces of the BC soccer scene.
My name is Karina LeBlanc, and this is Vancouver. Vancouver has everything. We have the water, we've got the mountains, you can have the best food in the world. There's nothing we don't have.
And a save by LeBlanc.
This game has made me the woman that I am today. Let's go! The fact of bringing the world to this country, that's huge. But in Vancouver, where we have so many different backgrounds, we have so many different types of people who live in this city, I think this city's gonna connect in a whole different way because they'll see a lot of them on that field. And most importantly, those athletes that come from around the world to this city, will see a lot of them in the stands. This game is so important beyond winning and losing. It's the people that you meet, and it's the way that it makes you feel. And this game made me feel like I mattered. This city makes everybody feel welcome. This city of Vancouver made the little girl who was lost and not know our way feel like this was home. This is my city, this is my home, this is Vancouver.
Even a decade ago, the idea of a World Cup in Canada felt ludicrous. You could bring it up in conversation. Hey, wouldn't that be cool if we had that here? And people would just snicker. But not FIFA Vice President and Canadian Victor Montagliani. He believed and led the charge to make it happen. Our Luke Wildman spent some time with Montagliani and his boss, FIFA President Gianni Infantino, to talk about what a World Cup in Canada means.
The sense of sizzling excitement and expectation in the air.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Thank you both for your time today. President Infantino, we'll start with you. How excited are you by the expanded World Cup over 3 countries?
You know, the excitement that I feel cannot be described. It's really special. It is a World Cup, the first World Cup in 3 countries, the first World Cup of 48 teams, so 48 countries will participate, 104 matches, as I say always, 104 Super Bowls in 1 month. It's like 3 Super Bowls a day.
Richarlison! Now that is Brazil!
Wow, majestic, magical, Mbappe!
The Moroccan miracle is still on!
It will be the biggest event ever, not just sport, not just social, but the biggest show that the planet has witnessed in history, present and future, and we are organizing that.
It must mean a lot. I believe we're organizing that.
It must mean a lot to you, Victor, you know, being from this country and everything that you've done to advance the game over the course of decades.
Bringing the World Cup to your country, there's nothing like it. That part of me kind of smiles inside, almost giggles inside when I have meetings in our country, and you know, I sense the excitement and it's off the charts, but part of me is like, you know what, just wait, because you have no idea how big it's actually going to be.
That's what they came for! The Magic Man! Argentina!
Are you confident that with 48 teams, the quality will still be as good? The drama of the World Cup will still be what we've come to love in the past?
100%, and we have seen it, and Victor can certainly speak about that as well. If you look at the last World Cups, I mean, the best country in the world, Italy, did not participate.
He's put on 2 World Cups. Italy hasn't qualified once.
I said we have to change something, right? 2 World Cups. I'm FIFA president, and you are FIFA vice president. And Italy didn't qualify. We have to change. We have to increase to 48. No, but jokes aside, the quality is definitely there. We can see this at whatever, the Copa America, the Gold Cup, the Euros, the Asian Cups. We can see that the quality of the players is coming up. If you lock it to just the usual ones, then the game will never really grow all over the world, and this is exactly what is happening now.
A group stage starts beyond Saudi Arabia's wildest dreams. The land of the rising sun has never shone as brightly as this. Pure Aussie joy!
You get to travel the world and see the game in different countries and how it has developed and how different events have had an impact on the development of the game. What can the legacy of 2026 be for the game in Canada?
It will be massive because suddenly not just those maybe sons of immigrants who got the soccer virus injected by their parents fall in love with the game, but millions of people, the whole population, will witness what it means when the country will be invaded by this joyful mass of people who will bring this emotion of the game. So the game in Canada is due to grow exponentially.
Towards Alphonso Davies! A goal the country has been dreaming about for decades.
Canada is a footballing country. It's a country of immigrants. The sport is an immigrant sport. The whole world is here. With that sort of in our DNA, it's gonna be a footballing country. I believe that we could go on and not only be at every World Cup, but compete for, deep into knockout stage to win World Cups. I think this is just the start of Canada becoming the footballing nation that I think it always deserved to be.
It is put in by Schaffelberg! Jacob Schaffelberg! Canada into the semi-finals of Copa America!
Victor, how do you ensure that legacy is left behind in Canada and in your role as CONCACAF across the whole region?
At the kitchen table, the discussion with my father and my mother was about football, right? In this country, it's about a lot of sports. I think with the World Cup, we'll change that conversation. When that starts happening, that's what happens with a cultural revolution. Only the World Cup can do that. It's only the World Cup that can light this flame, right? And I think once that starts happening, it's gonna inject even more energy and more, superpower into our game in this country.
I appreciate your time today. Thank you. A lot of work, I'm sure, still ahead over the course of the next year or so, but what a summer it will be in North America next year.
Thank you, Luke. After the break, we dig into the work needed to be done in Toronto and Vancouver and find out what they're doing to make sure they're ready to host the World Cup next summer. Plus, Jaden Nelson is one of many Canadians fighting to make Canada's World Cup squad, but he's already conquered the fight for his life. The Brampton, Ontario native's remarkable journey to professional soccer and how he hopes it helps guide him to a home World Cup.
The time is nigh. Our planet unites around its ultimate game.
Oh, you have to say that's magnificent. There is no debate about that goal.
Go down by Balkan! Oh, what a goal!
And that's what the world has wanted to see from Brazil.
That has got to be one of the great goals of the World Cup finals.
Another time stand still moment. History in itself.
Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo! Genius, absolute genius.
It's Mario Götze. It's Super Mario.
Oh my word! The boy with the world at his feet, Kylian Mbappe.
The dream finally becomes a reality.
Alphonso Davies! Canada's history-making moment, delivered by their biggest superstar. That's what they came for! The Magic Man! Champions of the world!
Lionel Messi has conquered his final peak. He has his crowning moments.
We can't wait for moments like that to come to Canada. And the countdown can be seen across North America with countdown clocks in all the major cities. Niagara Falls had the honor of unveiling the first one, And you can find more popping up in Toronto, Vancouver, and all across the 3 host countries. And these clocks will serve as a reminder for the host cities of all the work that has to be done over the next year, which brings us to Farhan Lalji at BC Place in Vancouver and Matthew Shinetti here in Toronto. We'll start with you, Farhan. How is Vancouver coming as far as World Cup preparations?
Well, James, certainly here at BC Place, you can see and feel the changes that are coming. Down below here in the bowels at field level, they're building new locker rooms. Existing locker rooms are getting upgrades, both in flooring and in washrooms. New washrooms are being built, additional elevator capacity, and the suites are also being upgraded. And then additional infrastructure is being put into place so that next year they can actually grow grass in the building. Now, in the short term, there is going to be somewhat of a test event on June 17th. There's a Gold Cup game here. Honduras is in town. They're going to bring grass in for that game, but it's not necessarily what's going to be grown here, which is a completely different scope of project a year from now. And at that time, both the BC Lions and Vancouver Whitecaps are going to be displaced from this building. Elsewhere in the city, not necessarily a ton visible, but at the P&E, a new amphitheater is being built for a fan fest, and that's going to be the hub of activity during the games next year. If you're a fan from around the globe and you're here, that is where the fan fest activities are going to happen. It's not going to be ready in late August for the big fair that happens at the P&E every year, but it should be ready shortly thereafter that. And as far as additional practice facility upgrades around town, UBC is getting a facelift in terms of their fields. Killarney High School is where another large project is taking place. They're going to build new fields and facilities there to house some of the top teams from around the world as they get set to practice for this event. And, you know, when you look at what's happening around town, business members are being engaged. They're trying to get everybody involved in all of this, and all of the festivities will really get going in earnest next April when the FIFA Congress comes to Vancouver.
And yes, Vancouver has that experience of hosting the Winter Olympics. Toronto held a Pan Am Games, but Matthew, nothing to the scale of the World Cup. How is Toronto doing as far as readiness?
Well, James, you're inside BMO Field that will host 6 games of the 2026 World Cup, including Canada's opener, as you yourself can see as well. The new LED video boards in the corners, some of which were used during the recent Canadian Shield tournament. The full construction will be completed later on over the course of the year, but the big construction piece are the new semi-permanent north and south stands that will begin in the wintertime to push the capacity of BMO Field to 45,000. But at nearby historic Fort York and the Bentway, which is a public space in the city, there will be the fan zone where the city of Toronto is expecting around 25,000 people. There will be local food vendors, live broadcasts of matches, and other cultural events as well. And the city is not waiting to start its legacy projects. They're going to be starting them right now. It's called Soccer for All, and throughout the city of Toronto, there will be community events and coaching and refereeing clinics. But the centerpiece will be mini pitches that the city of Toronto will construct in different locations that will be announced as the year goes on. In terms of the economics, the city of Toronto has estimated an economic output of around $940 million, with 6,600 jobs created from 2023 through the 2026 tournament. And in terms of the value of this event to the city, and you said it off the top, the city of Toronto's never had an event like this, and some in the city have long talked about an international event at the scale of the World Cup and the Olympics and how it's befitting a city the size of Toronto that also has its multicultural identity. So although there are still so many things going on in Toronto, there is a lot of excitement brewing for the biggest soccer tournament in history.
And you mentioned BMO. The pitch behind me is not the one they're going to use for the World Cup. In fact, a brand new pitch is being grown and housed about 20 minutes from here and is going to be brought in just days before the World Cup starts, making sure everything is perfect for the best players on the planet. Up next, Jaden Nelson is known for his flair and that shock of hair, but he's never discussed the real reason behind the do, until now. Plus, Stephen Caldwell and Kevin Kilban are back to take a look at the Canadian team and what they need to do over the next year to make a deep run in 2026. TSN's coverage of the Road to 26 features an in-depth look at Canada's race for the roster. Every Monday, we will track the Canadian players on their journey to make the squad, all the way until the team is revealed on the eve of the tournament. Look for it every Monday on SportsCenter, as well as all TSN platforms. One of those vying for a spot is Brampton's Jaden Nelson. The first thing you notice about Jaden, besides his soccer talent, is his hair. There's a ton of it, and there's a reason for that. It's not some fashion statement. It's his own reminder of his resiliency. For vying for a spot on Team Canada despite some career setbacks, sure. But it's what he overcame as a child that shows the true warrior Jaden Nelson is. Here's Rick Westhead.
Your eyes are immediately drawn to him because of his appearance and his flair and the way he moves on the pitch. Fast, electric, big imagination. You can't miss him.
Special from Jaden Nelson.
This is 22-year-old Vancouver Whitecaps winger Jaden Nelson, and his flair is undeniable.
Absolutely magnificent.
In equal parts due to his on-field pace and that unmistakable shock of hair.
There's a reason why I have long hair.
His hair means everything to him.
His hairdo, I mean, it's his signature.
Everybody always talks about my hair, but nobody really knows the real meaning behind it.
Good job, baby boy. Good job.
Jaden Nelson was a phenom growing up in the TFC Academy, and the Brampton native eventually joined the first team at age 17.
He's a player with a very bright future.
My first thought was, wow, he's young. Graduating from the academy and instantly getting looks at the first team and playing quality games for TFC. Many players have to battle years and years to get those quality games.
I could see nerves in him sometimes, but he held his own.
Nelson from distance. Oh, special.
Absolutely, I'm blown away, given the backstory that we will eventually get to.
And then being sold to a big club in Norway at a young age, it's also not typical for most Canadian kids.
For me, it was always a dream to play in Europe, and I wanted to experience what it was like.
After that, having a successful first season in Norway, you know, on a high, many clubs around the world looking to purchase him from Rosenborg at the time. Things were going good, you know? And then, like football, that's where, you know, things kind of turned for Jaden, and then he had to go on loan.
After a year in Norway, Nelson was loaned to Bundesliga club SSV Ulm in August 2024 and struggled to find his place both on and off the field.
People don't understand the difficulties about making it abroad. You know, it's more than just what you do on the pitch. When you come in as a young, black, foreigner player into an environment where there's not many people like you, your expectations are very high. You're expected to adapt quickly, and when that doesn't happen, you get judged more harshly.
For me, at a young age, I had a lot of pressure to be the next thing.
I remember one time he called me and he's like, "Mom, I don't think I'm good enough." He was down. He was down.
Like, I didn't enjoy football. It was really a dark time for me.
Jaden had been through dark times before, something he's never talked about publicly until now. It started with a diagnosis at only 18 months old.
It was testicular germ cell cancer. I went through chemo through that, and then it spread through my lungs again after the therapy.
And I remember being at work and I got the phone call. And his dad told me that the cancer came back. And this time it came back on his lungs. And I'm like, my baby, he's all I have. God can't take him away.
I mean, a diagnosis of cancer in a child, particularly one that has come back, is life-threatening.
My mom has told me that the doctor said, like, your son will never play any type of sport, you know?
What was the risk with his lungs?
The lungs fibrosis. When your life's goal is to be an athlete, it can affect you requiring oxygen in high concentrations.
So the doctors told you he was not a boy who was going to be growing up running much?
He wouldn't, no.
But ironically, Jaden's time at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto nourished his love for soccer.
Pretty sure we went to the treasure box in our treatment room and we found a soccer ball in there. And then I vividly remember running up and down the oncology clinic, kicking this ball with this tiny soccer hooligan.
And then he'll kick it so far that the staff would say, "Oh, Jaden Nelson's here. Get his bed ready," because they'll see the ball before they see him, and that's all the time. And that ball never left him. Never left him.
It was always at my feet, you know, and it's something crazy to me, like I was destined to play football.
Jaden triumphed over childhood cancer, and in 2024, his resiliency was needed once more, with his soccer career stalling in Germany.
I said, "Do you remember when you were younger, you never left that ball? That ball was always with you. Do you still have that ball?" He's like, "Yeah, Mama." I said, "You need to go back to that fundamental. Go back to that level." And that was the last conversation we had in Germany.
Jaden signed with the Whitecaps in early 2025, and that characteristic flash returned. His first start in Portland was a revelation.
20 minutes in, he gives an assist to our captain, Ryan Gold.
Nelson drops one down for goal again!
And then again, plays to Pedro. Pedro, amazing goal.
Oh, towards the far post! And in!
Second assist, I'm like, oh my God, what a debut. And then the run on a counterattack.
Jaden Nelson from box to box!
3 assists for Jaden. And then he goes for another almost half-field run.
There goes Nelson, pinning the ears back.
This is when I really realized how fast Jaden is.
Jaden Nelson, a star is born.
This kid has arrived, and surely enough, his celebration was like, I'm here.
Jaden is still here, and given his past, it's worth celebrating. Which leads us, finally, to his hair.
I want to add, because like, there's a reason why I have long hair.
His hair is his strength. So after cancer, his hair was growing rapidly, and he didn't like it at first. And then I'm like, "You know what, son, just keep it. It's your strength." He's like, "Yeah, Mom, you're right." And it grew longer and longer.
And like, people always think it's like, oh, I'm just being like stylish or whatnot, but it's like a symbol of strength and to just remember what I've been through and to just keep me grounded. It's just like a symbol of like resiliency and how I overcome.
And two of the guys who will be following Jaden Nelson and all the Canadian players as they vie for that golden ticket to play in a home World Cup are, of course, Stephen Caldwell and Kevin Kilbane, a man who played every minute for the Republic of Ireland at the 2002 World Cup. Stephen, you'll be the face of our Race for the Roster coverage all year. What do you think is going to keep Canadian coach Jesse Marsh up at night as he tries to make these decisions?
James, I've left you at BMO Field to join Kevin Kilbane in our pub here, Graham Leggett's, where we'll be hosting Park the Bus, our new podcast, and lots of content leading up to next summer in the World Cup. And you mentioned Race to the Roster, James. It's a lot of things, I think, when it comes to the selection of the starting 11 are going to be keeping Jesse Marsh up at night. He's definitely going to be thinking about the goalkeeper position. There's a real battle going on there between Max Crepeau and Dane St. Clair. I do think St. Clair has that position at the minute, but ultimately, Jesse Marsh has got some decisions to make. If Crepeau can get into some decent club form, then I think that'll be a very tight one. And then the partner for Jonathan David up top. Kyle Larin has the jersey at the moment, but I think it's there's a competition going on between Promise David, Kyle Larin, and even the youngster Daniel Jebison, and that's going to go right to the wire. All these guys very, very capable of being a partner for Jonathan David in that first game.
And Kevin, we watched Messi star in Qatar, Mbappe in Russia, James Rodriguez in Brazil. Who do you think is likely to be the star of the 2026 World Cup?
Well, James, the name on everyone's lips come 2026, I think, will be Lamine Yamal, particularly after what he did at Euro 24 last year. And he was still only 16 when that tournament started. He will, of course, still be a teenager come this World Cup. And I think Lamine Yamal, for what he's achieved in the last year, the form that he's showing, he's growing in stature game on game. I think going into the World Cup, Spain will be one of the favourites. He will be the guy that will be asked to spearhead that team as well. So I feel as though that Lamine Yamal is ready for superstardom. And I think come the end of the World Cup, James, I think if he goes on and achieves what we all think he's capable of achieving, I think there won't be any doubt in anyone's mind that Lamine Yamal will be the best player on the planet.
Thank you, Kevin, Stephen, and look forward to your coverage all year long. It feels like yesterday that Kevin and Stephen and Luke and I were in a stadium in Qatar watching Canada's return to the World Cup after a 36-year absence, and later watching Alphonso Davies score the first ever men's World Cup goal for Canada. That was 31 months ago, and now we are just 12 months away from the event of a lifetime in our country. The World Cup in Canada. Still hard to grasp, but it's coming. And we thank you for joining us as we begin the one-year countdown to history.
The World Cup is coming to Canada.
Never thought I'd be this excited about it.
Hosted by 3 countries.
Ça va être magnifique.
Greatest show on earth. Football legends on Canadian soil.
But I am pumped. The sound of World Cup soccer is coming to North America.
Canada, are you ready? Biggest sporting event in the history of Canada.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup, only on TSN, CTV and RDS.